Hello, my amazing children. This is Grandma Carla, and I am here to read you Mr. Putter and Tabby Turn the Page. So this book is by Cynthia Rylant, and it is illustrated by Arthur Howard. And I just love the pictures in here also. So we have very talented author and illustrator here. Chapter 1, Reading. Mr. Putter and his fine cat Tabby loved quiet time. They loved quiet baths. They loved quiet naps. They loved quiet thinking. Baths and naps and thinking. Mr. Putter and Tabby spent their favorite quiet times reading. Mr. Putter loved to read, but he did not like to read alone. He liked having someone to read to, and Tabby was the someone. She curled up on Mr. Putter's lap, or on Mr. Putter's feet, or on Mr. Putter's head, and Mr. Putter read. There's Tabby curling up all over the place. They had their favorite books, which they read over and over. One was about a cowboy. Mr. Putter liked cowboys. One was about a rabbit. Tabby liked rabbits. One was about gardens. Mr. Putter and Tabby both liked gardens. There, this title says The Albuquerque Kid. And this one has got carrots and rabbits. And this one is The World of Tomatoes. You can find anything in a book, can't you? So Mr. Putter was excited when he saw the sign at the library. The sign said, "Read aloud with your pet." Well, Mr. Putter read aloud with his pet all the time. But the sign said something else. It said, "Read aloud with your pet at story time." Thought Mr. Putter. He liked the words story time. They reminded him of when he was a little boy. His teacher had read stories aloud to the children. Story time was a very exciting time then. Reading did not always have to be quiet. And what could be better than Tabby and story time and the library? Mr. Putter signed up. I think Tabby might be excited too. Chapter 2, A Mistake. After he signed up, Mr. Putter made a mistake. Mr. Putter told his friend and neighbor, Mrs. Teaberry, about signing up. He forgot that Mrs. Teaberry loved anything new. Anything. She learned new hobbies. She made new friends. She cooked new food. Mrs. Teaberry liked new. There's Mrs. Teaberry hearing about the story time. And look, she made some cauliflower cookies. And she even liked singing with the band. She likes anything new. But Mrs. Teaberry's good dog, Zeke, liked new too. He liked to find new ways of doing things, and sometimes it got a little too exciting. Mr. Putter was not sure about Zeke and story time. There might be too much adventure with Zeke in the library. Zeke likes adventure. Look at him with the lampshade on his head. But it was too late now. Mrs. Teaberry was already looking for her library hat. Chapter 3, Gusto. Mr. Putter thought and thought about what story to read aloud at the library. He thought about cowboys, and he thought about rabbits. Oh, look at that. There's Mrs. Teaberry looking for her library hat. And Mr. Putter is thinking about what he is going to read about at the library. His imagination is getting carried away, isn't it? He did not think about gardens. Gardens were not adventures to most people. Gardens were an adventure to Tabby, but that is because Tabby knew how to make them exciting. Mr. Putter thought, and then he picked his story. It was a story about a bear. Everyone likes bear stories. Mr. Putter told Tabby, bears are exciting. And there's Tabby in the garden. And there's the bear story. And the bear story title says, "Wake up, Mr. Bear, it's spring." Mr. Putter practiced his story. He held up the book. He turned the pages. He read with gusto. Gusto makes everything more exciting, Mr. Putter told Tabby. Tabby purred. Reading was not so quiet anymore. Reading was an adventure. There's Mr. Putter reading with gusto. Chapter 4, Story Time. On the day of story time, Mr. Putter and Tabby and Mrs. Teaberry and Zeke walked to the library. At the library, all of the children were waiting for story time. When they saw Mr. Putter and Tabby and Mrs. Teaberry and Zeke, they were very excited. Tabby purred and purred. Zeke licked lots of faces. There is Mrs. Teaberry with her hat that says, "I love my library." And there is Zeke licking lots of faces. Then everyone settled in for story time. Mrs. Teaberry read her story first. It was a story about a dog, and Zeke made all of the sound effects. When the dog in the story barked, Zeke barked. And when the dog in the story howled, Zeke howled. And there's Zeke giving a good howl. And when the dog in the story ran away, Zeke ran away. "Oops," said Mrs. Teaberry. "Come back, Zeke," called the children. "Come back, Zeke," called Mrs. Teaberry. But Zeke smelled the librarian's lunchroom. Zeke was not coming back for a while. Mrs. Teaberry was not worried. Zeke always came back sooner or later. There goes Zeke. So Mr. Putter read his bear story. While he read with gusto, Tabby curled up on laps and on feet and on heads. There's a lap and some feet and a head. And Mr. Putter is reading with gusto. When Mr. Putter said the end, everyone clapped. Then Zeke came back with someone's cheese sandwich and a different hat. He also smelled like grapefruit juice. Look at the funny hat Zeke has on his head. Everyone was happy that he had come back. When it was time to say goodbye, the librarian gave Mr. Putter and Mrs. Teaberry stickers and bookmarks, free. Mr. Putter and Mrs. Teaberry both loved free stuff. Story time had been very exciting. There were some of the stickers that they got for free. Chapter 5, Book Swap. When everyone got home, they needed tea. Reading had been so exciting that it had made them hungry, so Mrs. Teaberry made tea and raisin biscuits for them all. When it was time to leave, Mr. Putter swapped his bear book for Mrs. Teaberry's dog book. He and Tabby liked dog stories. Zeke was curious about the bear. There, they're making a swap and having their cookies, their raisin biscuits. That night, when everyone was tucked in, they all had free stickers and free bookmarks and good bedtime stories, and Zeke loved the bear. It had been a really good day at the library. And there is Tabby sitting on the book. That is the end of Mr. Putter and Tabby Turn the Page. That was a good one, wasn't it? This is Grandma Carla, and I love you.